Hi everyone. So Mitesh this side, and something interesting has come up. If you guys have noticed that Union Cabinet's approval of 10,000 CR Startup India Fund of Funds 2.0. Now, so we can get into depth to understand what it is, why it matters, and how it builds on past efforts, as well as the perspectives from the operator side, investor sides, and the at a large scale macro market uh, shift. So if we start it like Union Cabinet has already approved this 10,000 crore INR, and it aims to mobilize venture capital, domestic venture capital, and strengthen India's startup ecosystem, which is a great initiative, especially in strategic and capital intensive sectors. Here, it is more focused on the capital intensive sectors. We'll get into details that which are the sectors they are mostly covering. So, firstly, what it means, what this fund of funds mean. So, rather than investing directly into the startup, so what the government's capital will be allocated to SEBI registered, like the alternate investment funds and the venture capital funds, and these AIFs, and then invest in those startups. They will do the right from sourcing to due diligence, and to the the strategic check-ins, how they are operating and how they are growing at which rate over the period of time. So why this matters? Firstly, like the targeted support for strategic sectors, it includes the artificial intelligence and robotics, semiconductor designs, advanced manufacturing and industrial tech, biotechnology and life sciences as well. So the first thing which I mentioned was capital incentive. Yeah, like capital, huge capital is required. Such kind of sectors, and these are the sectors which actually require a huge capital investment. The Startup India Fund of Funds 2.0 is mostly targeting these sectors at depth, and it is also said, this it is as a patient capital. Like you need a lot of patience, due to the long development cycles and a high risk, something majorly private investors alone avoid it, especially in our domestic market, if we say in our Indian ecosystem. So it's a great initiative in a way that the new fund places special emphasis for supporting early growth founders, helping startups scale beyond the prototype and survive the valley of death due to lack of follow-on finance. So the follow-on finance will be hugely taken care by this fund of funds 2.0. And another thing which matters a lot is the broader geographic reach. So for the sake of scaling, this time we are not just focusing on the top tier cities like Bangalore, Delhi, NCR, Mumbai, and all. Rather, the investments will also be strategically put after the startups operating from tier 2, tier 3 cities, helping spread this startup ecosystem at a much broader geographical reach, which is something again much needed in our Indian startup ecosystem. Strengthening the VC ecosystem. So a key goal is deepening India's venture capital ecosystem, particularly by supporting small domestic funds, rather than like where so much of reliance happens from the foreign capital investments only. So this fund of funds 2.0 will help to reduce that reliance on the foreign funds, and it will be more taken care and operated by the domestic funds, which is something a good indicator, I would say. And building on past success, this fund of funds 2.0 is an evolution of the original fund, the Start of India Fund of Funds 1.0, which was launched back, I think a decade ago. It was launched in 2016, and it had, again, it also had 10,000 crore CR, the 10,000 crore INR corpus, which was committed to 145 AIFs, alternate investment funds. And Fund of Funds 2.0 aims to go beyond the ecosystem building to fuel deeper innovation and global competitiveness in this particular capital intensive sectors. At a broader economic context, if I get into, then this decision is a part of major investments approved by government, including infrastructure, urban development funds, and other startup focused policies, reflecting an integrated push for innovation led investment driven growth in this particularly niche intensive capital sectors. If we get into more breakdown of this, then from the key takeaways for the operators, like the startup teams, founding teams, and the founders. So for the operators, it is like better access to growth capital, that which is something we often lack, but this should possibly create opportunities for many operators to get into the growth cycle and the scaling up, financing the scales which is required. Again, as I said, about the broader geographic reach, where the tier 2 and tier 3 innovations needs more financial support. So we are hoping to see more niche startups coming up from the tier 2 and tier 3 cities and getting funded for the scale up. Something very important is that it is also sending a long term confidence signal that this patient capital. Why I'm using this term again and again, patient capital, because these are very capital intensive sectors, and it doesn't give you IR at the internal rate of return in few years, 2, 3 or 5 years. It is capital intensive, and it requires that the growth and scale requires time. So this this is patient capital is coming into challenging sectors where R&D cycles and time to market are longer, and this can help founders pitch with more conviction, scale to different geographies, get the business set up into a more wider scale throughout the globe. So that is something, these are some of the possible scenarios which are kept in the long term vision for these funds. Again, for the investors, some of the takeaways are like capital multiplier effect. One of them, it's like Fund of Funds 2.0 will allocate the funds to the professional funds and not to startups directly, as I said. That means institutional investors will receive more dry powder to deploy. They get more dry powder with the support of the government, and they have a huge possibilities of doing very sharper due diligence and sourcing deals with more conviction, and which has more potential to grow in a span of years, not just in a span of 1 to 3 or 4 years, rather a long-term vision fund. So that is something which can create a shape of the venture funding for the domestic startup ecosystem is concerned. So sector and strategy clarity is there, like the deep tech, advanced manufacturing and climate, clean tech, biotech and frontier innovation. And as per this fund is concerned, like like what it happens generally, like for the traditional funds which rely more on the VC funds, it is aimed for the early exits in 3 to 5 years, whereas for this kind of fund of funds 2.0, where it is aligned with the deep tech fund is concerned, so we are more patient capital. It is supposed to gain the exits in 8 to 10 years, or maybe at least for the early exits also 5 to 8 years minimum. Again, the IRR, the internal rate of return is concerned, it is more backloaded. Carry fee, which is which comes later in this fund of funds 2.0, and that's why we call it patient capital. Exit size potential is very large, whereas in the traditional VC funds the exit size potential is low to moderate, because the fund cycle time period is very small. As I said, it was 3 to 5 years roughly, and here we are getting into the 8 to 10 years. So yes, the exit size potential is going to be very large, and the carry fee becomes more volatile, more dependent on few large wins, but those large wins are going to be big wins, and with longer maturity of those startups, they're going to be something big wins. We are looking forward to it. And apart from that, the impact on the major VC firms in India, it is going to create a shift in the dynamics of how fundraising is done, especially for the early startups and startups who are looking to scale and need financing for scaling. So we are looking towards it, how it goes, and maybe after one fiscal year, we'll get to know more about how much it is operating at what scale and at what efficiency, how much visibility the startups are gaining for this fund of funds 2.0, especially startups from the tier 2 and tier 3 regions. It is something we're looking forward to. So stay tuned with us, stay tuned with the PLG path, and we'll see it forward again. Yeah, thanks.